The Pfizer COVID vaccine gets the green light to be given to younger teens this week. A CDC advisory committee signing off on the emergency usage of the two-dose vaccine that will be used in children ages 12 to 15. The decision coming just days after the FDA authorized it to be used in that age group after data showed it was 100% effective. Officials say that the COVID vaccine can be administered on the same day with other vaccines too. So joining us to go over this news and what you need to know if you want to get your teen that shot, Dr. Michael Forbes with Akron Children's Hospital. Thank you for joining us.
It's my great pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about the initial testing phase for this and the age group here, 12 to 15 years old. Why was this not just initially rolled out for people as young as 12?
Sure. Great question. I think many of the studies that we've done in vaccines really begin in adults. And in a systematic, stepwise manner, we first make sure that it's safe, then we make sure it's effective, and then we have real world evaluation of that data. And once we have kind of an all clear from a safety and efficacy standpoint, then we move in a stepwise manner to the lower and lower and lower age groups to make sure we're protecting as many people as possible.
Okay, what about parents who are still skeptical about getting the vaccine for themselves or maybe just getting it for their child? Because, there are some other things that people are talking about. They're wondering about school in the fall and will we have to have the vaccine? What should they consider?
Sure. I think that, we have great respect for anyone who is hesitant around about a brand new vaccine that we've never seen before. We want to make sure that if you want to understand the nature of the vaccine, the effect of the vaccine, the good news is, we have a highly effective vaccine against a deadly virus. And I think that, watching this develop over the last year and over the past few months, seeing the drop in the number of new cases, I think is very encouraging for all of us that we're on the right track and we're bringing this pandemic to an end. The next phase is to really get as many people vaccinated as possible, because nothing we've done so far has been able to really reduce the number of new cases and protect as many people as possible. So as we think about reopening this summer, going back to school in the fall, the good news is we have an answer to this terrible pandemic that has disrupted our lives. We know that although kids don't get the degree of illness as adults do, many kids do. And so we're not talking statistics, we're talking children. And so we know that thousands of children have been hospitalized due to COVID-19 and hundreds have died as a result of COVID-19. And so getting as many people vaccinated to reduce the number of new cases and get back to our lives is really what this is all about.
Yeah, would you say it's more so about so they don't spread it, or are you concerned about the variants and how children could react to that if we let this linger and maybe parents don't get the vaccine right away for their kids? What are you noticing at Akron Children's Hospital? Have you had severe cases lately or any unfortunate deaths?
We've certainly had some severe cases. December was our worst time period. We're in the whole region. I think in all of Northern Ohio, we saw just an awful spike and surge in the amount of new cases. And once the number of new cases went up, within about 4 to 6 weeks, we saw a number of children who developed what's called multiple inflammatory syndrome in children, where the immune system just really goes haywire and they end up with respiratory failure, heart failure. They're critically ill. And nationwide, as I mentioned, we've had some children die from MIS-C. And so, while they don't get as sick usually, and in fact most of those kids who had MIS-C had very mild COVID symptoms or none, but 4 to 6 weeks later they were in our ICU.
Now, I know Akron Children's, you started offering this shot to this age group just this week. Have you seen a strong response so far, and how can people sign up if they want to?
Sure. I'll lead with the end here. It's akronchildrens.org/COVID vaccine to schedule your vaccine. We've seen lots of young people coming through. Some have been a little bit anxious about it. It is a vaccine, but we've been able to deploy all of our vaccine centers, our vaccine clinics, to be able to vaccinate as many kids who are going to show up. A lot of kids want to be able to go to the prom. They want to be able to participate in sports, and they want to make sure that they're not contributing to the problem, but they're part of the solution to make this pandemic go away.
All right, a lot of great information. Thank you so much for taking the time, Dr. Forbes. I appreciate it.
Sure.
All right.
Sure, my great pleasure. Thanks for having me
Always love
again.
having expertise right in our own backyard, Akron Children's Hospital.